Git is the most popular version control tools out there. As an alternative tool, there is SVN, for example, but it's older and maybe used in some older projects. But Git is definitely the way to go in modern projects. Now, how do you work with Git? Git has multiple parts. It has the remote Git repository. This is where the code lives and where everyone can fetch the code or pull the code and push their own changes to. And this remote Git repository usually has a UI, so you can actually interact with this code repository and do stuff with it through a user interface. It also has a local Git repository. This is where you keep your local copy of the remote repository code, and this is where your changes are saved and kept until you push them to the remote. It also has a history of the code changes. This is a log, Git log. It has the staging part. This is basically where your working changes are saved. So whenever you deviate from the code that you just pulled from the remote repository and you start making changes in your code, they are tracked by Git as current working changes. And later you can decide whether to commit them or basically revert the changes. And finally, you have Git client. This could be, again, a user interface tool or could be a command line interface of Git. And the client lets you execute Git commands to interact with the remote repository as well as local repository. So for example, you can take your changes and commit them and push them to the remote repository. You can pull the new changes and so on. These are all commands that you can execute using Git client that you will have to have installed locally on your machine.